What is disability? The social model of disability focuses on health and the impact it has on everyday life. Arts Access Australia states that within this model, a person is understood to experience a disability when the social or physical environment in which they live fails to accommodate them. Therefore, with this focus, actions are made to remove social and physical barriers to full participation in the arts, rather than trying to correct the body of the individual. Throughout this podcast, I will be looking at the National Disability Strategy, the National Arts and Disability Strategy, and Accessible Arts, the New South Wales peak body for disability and the arts. In 2009, the Australian Government commissioned a National Disability Strategy consultation report from the National People with Disabilities and Carer Council. It was titled Shut Out: The Experience of People with Disabilities and Their Families in Australia. This report brings to light the discrimination and social exclusion that many people with disability in Australia experience in their life. It illustrates that while many people with disabilities are present in our community and are free to live in it, many are rarely a part of it. In other words, they are shut out from the community. The report highlights the experience of social exclusion. It states, more than half the submissions received discussed the experience of exclusion and the impact of negative social attitudes on the lives of people with disabilities and their families, friends and carers. As one respondent suggested, societal attitudes have not developed in isolation from the ways that we have historically responded to people with disabilities, nor can they be adequately addressed without changing the way we continue to respond to people with disabilities. It can be argued that negative attitudes, myths, stereotypes are both the causes and the result of social exclusion for people with disabilities through service practices that segregate and congregate people with disabilities. The report outlined the solutions to these issues as suggested by the respondents and submissions, including develop a social inclusion framework for all policies and programs, and segregated services for people with disabilities and their carers and families, which they suggest only reinforce and exacerbate prevailing attitudes, provide support with an integrated approach, broaden the aims of disability-specific programs and services from function and independence to social inclusion and community participation, increase options and choice, further awareness and education of the social experience of disability, such as the invisibility of people with disabilities in the community. Based on this report, the National Disability Strategy is currently being developed in partnership with the state and territory governments. The strategy is a 10-year plan, and it's the first time in Australia that disability policy will be developed by a whole-of-government, whole-of-life approach. The overall vision of the strategy is an inclusive Australian society that enables people with disability to fulfil their potential as equal citizens. The strategy will serve as a guide to public policy across all levels of government and aims to change the nature of services and the programs in the community and create equal opportunities. In addition, the strategy seeks to create awareness of issues surrounding disability and that people with disability are included and consulted on in the development and practice of disability public policy. The strategy states that all Australians have a role to play in working together to achieve a society that enables people with disability to reach their full potential. Stakeholders include people with disability, their family members and carers, the wider community, who are core to creating a society in which all are welcome and can participate, disability organisations, businesses and community groups, and governments at all levels. Of the 6 policy areas within the strategy, I felt that inclusive and accessible communities was the most relevant to the Special Access Kit. However, the policy direction statements focused predominantly on creating access through physical means, such as changing the environment. This area did state, however, that improved cultural participation of people with disability through through the National Arts and Disability Strategy is already an existing commitment. This statement led me to research the strategy. The National Arts and Disability Strategy. In 2009, the Cultural Ministers' Council, which is an intergovernment forum for ministers responsible for culture and the arts, agreed to the National Arts and Disability Strategy. The focus of the National Arts and Disability Strategy is to improve access and participation in the artistic and cultural activities for people with disabilities. It is a framework for organisations to assess and improve existing activities. The strategy recognises that if governments and organisations and people fulfil the outcomes of the strategy, it will have a positive impact on the community as a whole. The strategy sets out 8 underlying principles that will guide its implementation. These address issues such as the right for all Australians to have access to and participate in the arts and cultural activities, and the need for people with disability to be involved in the decisions that directly affect them. The overall vision of the strategy is people with disabilities participate fully in the arts and cultural life of Australia. The artistic aspirations and achievements of people with a disability are valued and a visible part of Australian culture. In order to achieve this vision, the National Arts and Disability Strategy identifies 4 focus areas. The first being access and participation. This outlines goals to provide and increase access in terms of physical environment, online content, affordability, awareness of existing programs, disability awareness training for staff, and encouraging arts facilities to create and participate in programs which include the involvement of people with disability. The second focus area, arts and cultural practice. This outlines strategies to address the barriers which prevent emerging and professional artists and arts cultural workers with a disability from realising their ambitions. The third area, audience development. Strategies for developing and growing audiences for work created by artists with a disability and disability arts organisations. And lastly, strategic development. This outlines goals regarding policy at all government levels, develop policy with holistic consultation with all stakeholders, and highlights the importance of reviewing and measuring disability and the arts practice and programs. Accessible Arts is the peak arts and disability organisation in New South Wales. The role of this organisation is to promote and provide opportunities for people with disability to participate and engage with arts and cultural activities in New South Wales. This includes being audience members, participants in activities, and developing also as professional artists. The mission of Accessible Arts is to promote full inclusion, access, and cultural opportunities in the arts for people with disabilities through advocacy, education, and information. Accessible Arts has a range of services, including arts development, which involves consulting and providing assistance to organisations and individuals in the arts and disability field. Audience development, which involves consulting organisations to make their venue and services more accessible and suitable for people with disability. Training, providing training for arts organisations and workers. And lastly, information, providing information that is up to date and current about the arts and disability services and initiatives. Researching these policies led me to think about the Special Access Kit program and how the program defines disability. Can the Special Access Kit program incorporate social inclusion and integrate access? I feel the Special Access Kit already meets many of the strategies within both the National Disability Strategy and the National Arts and Disability Strategy. In addition, these strategies can also be a platform for discussion and further action for developing our program. For example, making environments accessible and growing awareness about ThinkSpace's services and facilities. Broaden the aims of the program to include social inclusion, provide choice and consult and include people with disability and their carers in the development of the program. Promote the rights of people with disability and increase and encourage their participation.